Are all your marketing eggs in one little basket like this? If they are, that might be a problem. And this is what we're going to discuss in this episode of Ask Aaron. Let's get into it. Right, now look, most brands that I speak to have an over-reliance on one marketing channel or another. So if that's you, don't worry, most brands tend to fall into this trap. But the key thing to be really robust with our marketing and to really scale your brand, you need to have multiple baskets. We need to have multiple eggs in multiple baskets. And so what I want to do in this video is to just give you a few ideas, a few things to think about that you can take and make sure that, and basically double check that you have multiple baskets, that you have a varied marketing mix. And I've actually done another video on what I think is the absolute ideal marketing mix, which I'll include a link to that video in the description of this one. Right, let's get into it. So the first thing to think about is, do we know how reliant your brand is on each marketing channel that you have right now? So for example, what proportion of your sales, your visibility is coming from paid advertising? And then within that, splitting that down to understand how reliant is your brand on Google? How reliant is it on Bing? How reliant is it on Meta or Amazon or any of these, any of these paid channels? We need to understand that, and we almost need to go, okay, we have X reliance on these channels. What proportion of our traffic, our visibility, our sales is linked to our SEO? How reliant are we on referrer traffic? How much of our traffic is coming direct to our website? Do we know the new versus returning customer rate within our data? Because again, all of these things, understanding the marketing mix, understanding how reliant our brand is on paid versus direct versus organic versus referrer, new versus returning, all of those things really help to paint a picture and help us to think and understand how many of our marketing eggs are, which baskets they're in and how reliant we are, because we don't want all of them in just that single basket. That's a problem, and we see it a lot. And often brands aren't sure, or when we look at their data, they then go, I had no idea we were so reliant on X channel. The good old analogy in marketing, you don't want more than 10, 20% of your revenue reliant on a single customer. And that's kind of true with your marketing mix. Now, there aren't that many marketing channels, so you're gonna have more than 10, 20%, but the principle's the same. We don't want 80% of our revenue coming from a single channel, because if we have that, what happens if that no longer works, or if there's a problem there? We need to be way more robust, and it's something that we really focus when working with our brands is, let's ensure a nice mix so we have multiple baskets. So you can go and have a look into your data and really quickly, you could literally stop this video and then go and do it, and within an hour you could have a much greater understanding of how reliant your brand is on these different channels. Now, if you want to get into your data within Google Analytics, if you're still using, or if you still have your historic data within Google Analytics 3 or the Universal Analytics, then in order to get this breakdown and be able to pull out the data in its simplest form, you just have to go to acquisition, all traffic, and then channels. And within there, open up the date range, look at the last year, the last 2 or 3 years, maybe do a year-on-year comparison, tie it in maybe to the calendar year or your business year, and just look at, okay, so overall our total revenue was X and our total amount of traffic was Y. And then within that, if we go into all traffic and then channels, okay, a third of our traffic is from this, or our revenue is from this channel, and we've got 50% from that channel. And just noting those down, pulling that data out, will start to build your picture. If you then look at it year on year, you can see how that has changed over the months, over the years, and it provides fascinating insights. And you can do this stuff in minutes. It doesn't take that long, but it's so, because you can say, well, look, we used to be 60% reliant on paid, whereas now, we're only 40%. Okay, that's good. What's making up that difference? Where is that other reliance coming in? Okay, our SEO is picking up, or we're getting more direct, or we're getting, referrers dropped off a cliff, or our email marketing's really picked up and we're getting more of that. These are the things you need to be aware of and you need to see. If you're now using Geo4, which I hope you are, then with Google Analytics 4, very similar. You get this by going into reports, acquisition, and then traffic acquisition. It's very slight, difference in terms of where you find it, but ultimately you can find very much the same kind of information. And again, it breaks it down by channel. You can export the data, get the revenue numbers, get the percentages, etc., etc. And again, do it year on year. Now for GA4, you're only going to have it based on when you set it up. But using a combination, what we do when we're crunching the data is we pull the historic data from essentially GA3 or Universal Analytics, we pull that, and then for the last year or so, we pull GA4, and then we can get the full picture and we can really understand and basically just then map it out and say, well, our reliance on this channel over the years has increased, decreased, has changed, or it's flat, or, and then you can start to look at it and go, well, what is our marketing mix? How reliant are we on these different channels? And are we happy with that? And stuff like that. And once you've written all of this down, you can actually look, what's it telling us? Are we happy with that mix? And are there any channels that we're overly reliant on, or are there channels that we specifically want to really kick on and we want to grow? And the great thing with understanding the marketing mix and understanding how reliant we are per channel is that we can then look at it from a revenue standpoint and from an ROI, so a return on investment standpoint, is we can look at it and say, well, okay, well, currently 20% of our revenue is coming in via our SEO. Well, what are we investing in, and how has that changed over the years? Okay, well, it used to be 5%, then it went to 10%, now it's 20% or whatever it might be. And then you can, well, what are we investing in our SEO? Okay, because that's getting and then you can look at it, well, we invested X in our SEO and we got Y out of it. Okay, what kind of level of return is that generating? Similarly with the paid, and you can go, well, what are we investing into Google and how is that changing? What proportion of our marketing mix is that doing? What does that basket of the paid basket look like? What are we putting in? What are we getting out? And we can start to then look at it as ROI. With the paid stuff, you can look at your ROAS. So for every pound we put in, what are we getting back out? And how does that vary from Google to Bing to Meta, etc., etc., etc.? And you can really start to then look at it. And of course, all of those insights enable you to better understand where you should then put a portion more of your budget. Because you can see, well, look, our SEO is having a compounding effect. Each year that's growing, right? We need to double down on that because SEO is a long-term marketing strategy, or actually we're becoming too reliant on paid. We need to rein that in, or we're under-investing. Last year we spent 200 grand on Google ads, and this year we've only done 100, and therefore our revenues dropped by 70%. And you can start to see all of this stuff, and you can then work out what needs to happen and what you need to do. So you need to make your business more robust and make sure that you don't have all of your eggs in one basket. And we see it all too often, and we have to coach the brands that we work with to really get them to, one, be clear on the overall commercial goals, but then understand that once we get there, once we reach we're happy with our overall business, we're a 5, 10, 20 million pound business, what does that look like? Because we don't want to get there and go, we've got there, brilliant, but we're solely reliant on this channel. We want to be more robust. In order to understand more robust, we need to understand how many of our eggs are in this basket versus that basket. And then are we happy with that? And if we're not, what do we need to do? How do we need to change things? And where do we need to invest? So hope that's useful. Hope it just gives you something to think about. If you don't know how reliant you are on those different channels, if you're not sure what levels of return you're getting on those different channels, you know now what to do. Go into Google Analytics. I've told you where to go. You can go and pull those numbers for the last 3, 4, 5 years. Map it out. I guarantee if you do that, it will take you minutes and it will be absolutely fascinating, and you'll really be able to see what's working and what's not. Hope it's useful. We will see you on the next one. I've got loads more of these coming up. So if you've enjoyed this, do please give this video a like. I'd very much appreciate that. And we'll see you in the next one. Yeah, and if you haven't already, do subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'd very much appreciate that. Thanks so much. We'll see you on the next one. Take care.